to Ethoria Channel.
You weren't lost, you were buried alive. So who buried you? You thought the journey was about finding yourself. It was about becoming yourself. That's not self-discovery. That's self-creation. This won't just change you. It will require a funeral for who you were pretending to be. This isn't a story for your eyes. That's why there are no visuals, no bright colors, just a voice and the silence between the sentences. If they help you, the words will also appear on screen. Stay, because this isn't a regular video. This is a space. A space for you, your thoughts, your feelings. Maybe you've been running from silence. Maybe you've forgotten what your inner voice sounds like. This is your invitation to return to yourself. No noise, no mask, no need to prove anything, just you and what you're about to hear. Previously on The Archaeology of Self, Excavated. Who you really are beneath the layers. Protected, your truth through strategic disappearing, integrated, your shadow to become complete. Connected, authentically from wholeness, not wounds. Embodied. Now we live it all. You've unearthed the truth. Now you must become it. What if I told you that most people who do personal development become more sophisticated at avoiding change, not creating it? You've done the archaeological work. You've found the buried treasure of your authentic self. You've learned to protect it, integrate it, and share it in relationships. But there's one final lesson that separates those who know themselves from those who live as themselves. The difference between having insights and being transformed. Here's what nobody tells you about authentic living. Knowledge without embodiment, it's just sophisticated self-deception. You can understand every principle of authenticity and still live a performed life. Because knowing who you are and being who you are in every moment of every day are two entirely different archaeological achievements. Meet Kaya. After 5 years of personal development, therapy, and spiritual work, she felt enlightened. She could articulate her values, identify her patterns, and speak fluently about authentic living. But her colleagues still walked on eggshells around her. Her family still felt she was judgmental. Her girlfriend left her, saying, "I feel like I'm dating your spiritual ego, not you." That's when Kaya's perfect spiritual facade cracked. "I know exactly who I am," Kaya said in frustration. "Why doesn't my life reflect that?" Because integration isn't an event, it's a way of being. Most people collect insights like trophies. They watch 100 reels about boundaries, but still can't say no to their boss. They understand their attachment style, but still choose the same unavailable partners. They mistake understanding for embodiment. They think awareness equals transformation. Dr. Peter Levine's research on trauma healing reveals, intellectual understanding without somatic integration creates what he calls spiritual bypassing, using knowledge to avoid the actual work of changing. Here's what spiritual bypassing looks like in real life. You meditate every morning but scream at traffic. You talk about unconditional love but hold grudges for years. You preach about authenticity but perform spirituality to impress others. You can know you're authentic and still live inauthentically. You can understand your patterns and still be controlled by them. You can have profound insights and still make the same unconscious choices. Episode mantra: I don't just know who I am, I live who I am. Stop now, put your hand on your heart and ask, am I living my insights or collecting them? Your discoveries become your defaults. or they become your spiritual decorations. The gap between knowing and being is where most people's transformations die. The discovery: why insights don't equal integration. You've spent 5 episodes excavating your authentic self. You have the map. You know the territory. But maps don't transport you to the destination, only movement does. Here's the brutal truth about personal development. Most people become experts on their own dysfunction without actually changing it. They can describe their authentic self in exquisite detail while living as their performed self every single day. When did you last surprise yourself with an authentic choice? When did you last disappoint someone by being genuine? When did you last feel the discomfort of growth instead of the comfort of knowing? Consider the psychology of insight addiction. Dr. Gabor Mate's work on addiction patterns shows that people can become dependent on the neurochemical high of understanding without ever implementing change. The aha moment becomes its own reward, replacing the harder work of consistent transformation. This is why therapy can become endless. Why personal development can become a hobby rather than a practice. Why spiritual seeking can become spiritual avoiding. You start believing that understanding equals evolving. Think of Dmitri, who'd been in therapy for 8 years. He could trace every relationship pattern back to his childhood wounds. He understood his attachment style, his defensive mechanisms, his core limiting beliefs. He spoke the language of psychology fluently, but his relationships were still disasters. His career still felt meaningless. His daily life still felt like an act he was performing for an invisible audience. I understand everything about myself, Dmitri reflected, but I still make the same choices, because insight without embodiment is just sophisticated mental furniture. It makes your inner world look organized while your outer world remains chaotic. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's groundbreaking work on trauma recovery demonstrates the body keeps the score. Real change happens in the nervous system, not just the mind. You have to feel differently before you can be differently. Authentic transformation requires 3 levels of integration. Mental integration, understanding your patterns and authentic nature. Emotional integration, feeling safe to express your truth consistently. Somatic integration, your body naturally expressing authenticity without conscious effort. Most people stop at mental integration. They collect insights about themselves without doing the emotional and somatic work required to embody those insights. But here's where it gets psychologically complex. Your unconscious mind will always choose familiar dysfunction over unfamiliar authenticity. Even when you consciously want to change, your nervous system will pull you back to what feels normal, even if normal is misery. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research on neuroplasticity reveals you have to become uncomfortable with your old self to become comfortable with your new self. Change requires neurological rewiring, which feels destabilizing to your system. This is why people sabotage their progress, just as they're about to break through. This is why insights fade. This is why knowing better doesn't automatically lead to doing better. Your archaeology isn't complete until your discoveries become your defaults. The integration. 5 pillars of authentic living. Authentic living isn't about having perfect days. It's about having authentic responses to imperfect days. Just as previous episodes mapped types and layers, Episode 6 maps the 5 foundational pillars that transform insights into embodied ways of being. Pillar 1. Somatic authenticity. Your body naturally expresses your truth. Pillar 2. Relational authenticity. You show up as yourself in all relationships. Pillar 3. Professional authenticity. Your work aligns with your values and nature. Pillar 4. Creative authenticity. You express your unique perspective and gifts. Pillar 5. Spiritual authenticity. You live from your deepest wisdom and connection. Pillar 1. Somatic authenticity. Your body as your authenticity compass. Your body never lies. What it looks like. Your nervous system relaxes when you're being authentic. You notice body tension when you're performing or people-pleasing. Your physical presence reflects your inner state naturally. You trust your body's wisdom over your mind's analysis. The somatic reality. Your body doesn't lie. It can't perform. It responds authentically to every situation, relationship, and choice. When you're aligned with your truth, your body feels expansive. When you're betraying yourself, your body contracts. Case study. Amara was a people-pleaser who'd learned intellectually about boundaries but couldn't maintain them consistently. A breakthrough came when she started paying attention to her body during interactions. I noticed that when someone asked me to do something I didn't want to do, my chest would tighten before I even heard the full request. My body was saying no, while my mouth was saying yes. But the real test came when her boss asked her to work the weekend she'd planned to visit her sick mother. Her body contracted immediately. For the first time, she trusted that signal. I actually said no, out loud. My boss was shocked. Amara began using her body as her authenticity detector. Expansion meant alignment. Contraction meant course correction needed. The integration practice. Amara developed what she called somatic checking, pausing before responses to notice what her body was telling her. Instead of automatically agreeing or disagreeing, she'd feel into her physical response first. Somatic authenticity tool, the body compass. Throughout your day, notice. What does my body feel like when I'm being authentic versus performing? Where do I hold tension when I'm betraying myself? How does my breathing change when I speak my truth versus when I perform? Master level, your body becomes your most trusted guide for authentic choices. I understand everything about myself, Dmitri reflected, but I still make the same choices. Because insight without embodiment is just sophisticated mental furniture. It makes your inner world look organized, while your outer world remains chaotic. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's groundbreaking work on trauma recovery demonstrates the body keeps the score. Real change happens in the nervous system, not just the mind. You have to feel differently before you can be differently. Authentic transformation requires 3 levels of integration. Mental integration, understanding your patterns and authentic nature. Emotional integration, feeling safe to express your truth consistently. Somatic integration, your body naturally expressing authenticity without conscious effort. Most people stop at mental integration. They collect insights about themselves without doing the emotional and somatic work required to embody those insights. But here's where it gets psychologically complex. Your unconscious mind will always choose familiar dysfunction over unfamiliar authenticity. Even when you consciously want to change, your nervous system will pull you back to what feels normal, even if normal is misery. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research on neuroplasticity reveals you have to become uncomfortable with your old self to become comfortable with your new self. Change requires neurological rewiring, which feels destabilizing to your system. This is why people sabotage their progress, just as they're about to break through. This is why insights fade. This is why knowing better doesn't automatically lead to doing better. Your archaeology isn't complete until your discoveries become your defaults. The integration, 5 pillars of authentic living. Authentic living isn't about having perfect days. It's about having authentic responses to imperfect days. Just as previous episodes map types and layers, episode 6 maps the 5 foundational pillars that transform insights into embodied ways of being. Pillar 1. Somatic authenticity. Your body naturally expresses your truth. Pillar 2. Relational authenticity. You show up as yourself in all relationships. Pillar 3. Professional authenticity. Your work aligns with your values and nature. Pillar 4. Creative authenticity. You express your unique perspective and gifts. Pillar 5. Spiritual authenticity. You live from your deepest wisdom and connection. Pillar 1. Somatic authenticity. Your body as your authenticity compass. Your body never lies. What it looks like. Your nervous system relaxes when you're being authentic. You notice body tension when you're performing or people-pleasing. Your physical presence reflects your inner state naturally. You trust your body's wisdom over your mind's analysis. The somatic reality, your body doesn't lie. It can't perform. It responds authentically to every situation, relationship, and choice. When you're aligned with your truth, your body feels expansive. When you're betraying yourself, your body contracts. Case study: Amara was a people pleaser who'd learned intellectually about boundaries but couldn't maintain them consistently. Her breakthrough came when she started paying attention to her body during interactions. I noticed that when someone asked me to do something I didn't want to do, my chest would tighten before I even heard the full request. My body was saying no while my mouth was saying yes, but the real test came when her boss asked her to work the weekend she'd planned to visit her sick mother. Her body contracted immediately. For the first time, she trusted that signal. I actually said no, out loud. My boss was shocked, but my mother cried when I showed up. Amara began using her body as her authenticity detector. Expansion meant alignment. Contraction meant course correction needed. The integration practice. Amara developed what she called somatic checking, pausing before responses to notice what her body was telling her. Instead of automatically agreeing or disagreeing, she'd feel into her physical response first. Somatic authenticity tool. The body compass. Throughout your day, notice, what does my body feel like when I'm being authentic versus performing? Where do I hold tension when I'm betraying myself? How does my breathing change when I speak my truth versus when I perform? Master level. Your body becomes your most trusted guide for authentic choices. You naturally follow what feels expansive and avoid what feels contractive. Somatic authenticity equals your body naturally expresses your truth without conscious effort. Pillar 2. Rational authenticity. Being yourself with everyone, consistently. You are the same person in every room. What it looks like. You're essentially the same person in all contexts. No code subbing between different versions of yourself. You express your truth, regardless of the audience. Your boundaries remain consistent across all relationships. The relational reality. Most people have multiple personalities depending on who they're with. Relational authenticity means being recognizably yourself, whether you're with your boss, your mother, your partner, or strangers. Case study: Hassan realized he was a completely different person at work, aggressive, competitive, with his family, people-pleasing, accommodating, and with friends, joking, deflecting. He felt fragmented. I started asking myself, which one of these is really me? Then I realized the question was wrong. The real question was, how can I be authentically me in all these contexts? The test came when a difficult client demanded unreasonable changes. Instead of his usual aggressive pushback or people-pleasing accommodation, Hassan spoke honestly. I understand you're frustrated. Here's what I can realistically deliver, and when. He lost that client, but he gained something more valuable: integrity. Hassan's integration wasn't about being identical in every situation, but about expressing his core essence consistently while adapting appropriately to different contexts. Hassan identified his core qualities, curiosity, directness, and humor, and practiced expressing these authentically in every relationship while honoring the different needs of each context. Relational authenticity tool, the consistency check, weekly practice. Am I essentially the same person in all my relationships? Where do I perform different versions of myself? What core qualities can I express consistently across all contexts? Master level. People experience you as genuinely yourself regardless of the setting. Your authenticity adapts to context without compromising your essence. Relational authenticity equals you show up as yourself in all relationships without compartmentalization. Pillar 3. Professional authenticity. Your work as an expression of your nature. Your Monday self matches your Sunday self. What it looks like. Your professional choices align with your values and natural abilities. You bring your authentic self to your work environment. Your career path reflects your genuine interests, not just financial security. You contribute your unique perspective rather than conforming to expectations. The professional reality. Most people live double lives, their authentic self and their professional self. Professional authenticity means finding ways to be genuinely yourself within your work context, or changing contexts to allow authentic expression. Case study. Rosalia. Rosalia was a naturally creative, intuitive person working in corporate finance. She felt like she was dying spiritually every day, but the money was good and her family expected financial stability. I realized I wasn't just trading my time for money, I was trading my soul for security, and that trade was making me bitter, which was affecting every other area of my life. Rosalia's integration wasn't about immediately quitting her job, but about finding ways to bring more of her authentic nature into her current role, while strategically moving toward work that felt more aligned. The integration practice. Rosalia started bringing creativity to her financial analysis, using her intuition to read between the lines of data, and mentoring younger employees in ways that felt personally meaningful. She also began developing a side business that expressed her creative nature. Professional authenticity tool. The alignment assessment monthly evaluation. Does my work utilize my natural gifts and interests? Can I be authentically myself in my professional environment? What aspects of my current role align with my values, and what aspects compromise them? Master level. Your professional life becomes an expression of your authentic nature, rather than a compartment separate from who you are. Professional authenticity equals your work aligns with your values and allows authentic self-expression. Pillar 4. Creative authenticity. Expressing your unique perspective and gifts. What wants to be born through you. What it looks like. You regularly express your creativity regardless of skill level or professional goals. Your unique perspective is shared rather than hidden. You create from authenticity rather than for approval or perfection. Your creative expression reflects your genuine interests and insights. The creative reality. Everyone has creative capacity, but most people suppress it due to comparison, perfectionism, or practicality concerns. Creative authenticity means expressing your unique way of seeing and interpreting the world. Case study. Tariq had been a closet writer for 20 years, filling journals with observations and insights, but never sharing them because they didn't fit conventional literary styles. He was convinced his perspective wasn't valuable. I realized I was waiting for permission that was never going to come. I was waiting to become good enough to deserve to express what was already inside me. Tariq's breakthrough came when he stopped trying to write like other people and started writing like himself, quirky, philosophical, with unexpected connections between seemingly unrelated topics. The integration practice. Tariq began sharing his writing online without trying to build an audience or make money. He wrote for the joy of expression and the relief of authentic communication. Creative authenticity tool. The expression practice weekly. Creative practice. What wants to be expressed through me right now? How can I share my unique perspective this week? What would I create if no one would ever judge it? Master level. You naturally express your creativity as an overflow of your authentic self, rather than as a performance or achievement goal. Creative authenticity equals you express your unique perspective and gifts without requiring external validation. Pillar 5. Spiritual authenticity. Living from your deepest wisdom and connection. Your spiritual life belongs to you, not your inherited beliefs. What it looks like. Your spiritual practice reflects your genuine seeking rather than inherited beliefs. You access inner wisdom and trust your own spiritual knowing. Your life choices reflect deeper values beyond material success or social approval. You feel connected to something larger than your personal story. The spiritual reality. Spiritual authenticity isn't about believing the right things or following the right practices. It's about connecting with whatever feels most true and meaningful to you spiritually, whether that's traditional religion, nature connection, meditation, or your own unique spiritual understanding. Case study. Yuki grew up in a strict religious household but felt no authentic connection to those beliefs. She'd tried various spiritual practices looking for the right one, but felt like she was shopping for a spiritual identity rather than connecting with genuine spiritual truth. I realized I was trying to find a spiritual path that someone else had walked instead of walking my own spiritual path. I was looking for spiritual authenticity outside myself instead of within myself. Yuki's integration involved creating her own spiritual practice based on what actually brought her into connection with the sacred. Long walks in nature, contemplative writing, and moments of gratitude. The integration practice. Yuki stopped trying to fit into existing spiritual frameworks and began honoring what genuinely connected her to meaning, transcendence, and wisdom in her own experience. Spiritual authenticity tool. The sacred connection, daily spiritual practice. What connects me to something larger than my personal concerns? What spiritual practices feel authentic to me versus performed? How can I live from my deepest wisdom today? Master level. Your spiritual life becomes a natural expression of your authentic seeking rather than an adopted belief system or practice. Spiritual authenticity equals you live from your deepest wisdom and genuine spiritual connection. Quick recap. The 5 pillars of authentic living. Somatic equals body, naturally expresses truth. Relational equals same self in all relationships. Professional equals work aligns with nature and values. Creative equals express unique perspective freely. Spiritual equals live from deepest wisdom and connection. From episodes 1 to 5, you learned the archaeology of self. Now you're learning the architecture of authentic living, how to build a life that reflects your excavated truth. The 30-day integration protocol. This isn't about learning new information. This is about embodying what you already know. The 30-day protocol moves through integration of each pillar, building a foundation for lifelong authentic living. Week 1. Somatic Foundation. Building body-based authenticity. Day 1 to 3. Body awareness establishment. Purpose. Developing sensitivity to your body's authenticity signals. Daily practice. Every 2 hours, pause and ask, what is my body telling me right now? Am I holding tension anywhere? And what might that tension be about? Create what psychologist Dr. Peter Levine calls felt sense awareness, the ability to notice subtle body sensations that indicate alignment or misalignment. Day 4 and 5. Breathing as authenticity barometer. Purpose. Using breath to gauge authentic expression. Practice. Before speaking in any interaction, take one conscious breath and notice. Does your breathing feel free and natural? Is there constriction in your chest or throat? Can you speak from a place of physical ease? Use your breath as a real-time authenticity detector. Day 6 and 7. Movement and expression integration. Purpose. Allowing your body to move authentically. Practice. Spend 10 minutes daily moving your body however feels natural. Stretching, dancing, walking, without any agenda except authentic expression. Notice how authentic movement affects your overall sense of self. Week 2. Reconnection. Becoming the same person everywhere. Day 8 to 10. Persona mapping. Purpose. Identifying where you perform different versions of yourself. Exercise. Map out your different personas. How do you act at work versus at home? What aspects of yourself do you hide from family that you show friends? Where do you code surf your personality based on your audience? Day 11 and 12. Core quality expression. Purpose. Practicing consistent, authentic expression. Challenge. Choose 2 to 3 core qualities that represent your authentic nature. Examples: curiosity, directness, playfulness, intensity. Practice expressing these qualities appropriately in every context for 2 days. Day 13 and 14, boundary consistency practice. Purpose: maintaining the same boundaries across all relationships. Practice: identify one boundary you maintain with some people, but not others. Practice maintaining this boundary consistently regardless of the relationship context. Week 3. Professional and creative ligament. Bringing authenticity to work and creativity. Day 15 to 17. Professional authenticity audit. Purpose: assessing and improving alignment in your work life. Assessment: what aspects of your work feel authentic versus performed? Where can you bring more of your genuine self to your professional role? What changes would move you toward greater professional authenticity? Action: make one small change each day that brings more authenticity to your work environment. Day 18 and 19. Creative expression, liberation, purpose. Expressing creativity without agenda. Practice: engage in 20 minutes of creative expression daily with these guidelines. Create for the joy of creating, not for any outcome. Express your perspective rather than copying others. Allow imperfection and beginner's mind. Day 20 and 21. Unique contribution, identification, purpose. Recognizing and sharing your distinctive gifts. Reflection. What unique perspective do you bring that others might not? What gifts do you have that you've been keeping hidden? How can you contribute these gifts without requiring recognition? Week 4, Spiritual Integration and Mastery. Living from Deep Wisdom and Connection. Day 22 to Day 24. Authentic Spiritual Practice. Development Purpose. Creating spiritual connection that feels genuine to you. Exploration. Try different forms of spiritual connection. Meditation, prayer, nature connection, gratitude practice, contemplative reading. Notice which practices create genuine spiritual connection versus which feel performed. Design a daily spiritual practice based on authentic connection rather than should. Day 25 and 26. Values-based decision-making. Purpose. Making choices from your deepest wisdom rather than external pressures. Practice. For 2 days before making any decision, small or large, pause and ask, what choice would my wisest, most authentic self make? What decision aligns with my deepest values rather than my surface desires or fear? How can I choose from love rather than fear? Day 27 to 30. Integration, Mastery, Purpose. Living all 5 pillars simultaneously. Final integration. For the last 4 days, practice conscious integration of all 5 pillars. Somatic. Stay connected to body wisdom throughout the day. Relational. Be consistently yourself in all interactions. Professional. Bring authenticity to all work activities. Creative. Express your unique perspective in some form daily. Spiritual. Make decisions from your deepest wisdom. Document how this integrated approach affects your energy, relationships, and overall sense of being yourself. The transformation. What emerges from integrated living? When you live from all 5 pillars consistently, something profound shifts in your entire existence. You stop feeling like you're managing your life and start feeling like you're living your life. The energy revolution. Your energy increases dramatically because you're not using it to maintain personas, suppress authenticity, or manage other people's reactions to your truth. All that energy becomes available for creation, connection, and authentic expression. Consider the transformation of Kemal, who practiced integrated authentic living for 6 months. Before integration, felt exhausted by social interactions and work responsibilities, experienced chronic anxiety about being found out as inadequate, felt like he was acting his way through life rather than living it, struggled with decision-making because he wasn't clear on his authentic preferences. During integration process, began trusting his body's wisdom for guidance in choices, started expressing his authentic thoughts and feelings in relationships, made career changes that align with his natural interests and abilities, developed creative outlets that expressed his unique perspective. After integration, felt energized by interactions because he could be himself, experienced confidence that came from self-knowledge rather than external validation, made decisions quickly because he was clear on his authentic preferences, attracted people and opportunities that appreciated his genuine nature. Kemal's reflection. I used to spend so much energy trying to figure out who I should be in each situation. Now, I just show up as myself and let the situation adapt to my authenticity. It's like I finally got permission to be human. The relationship transformation. When you consistently show up as yourself, your relationships naturally sort themselves. People who appreciate authenticity move closer. People who require performance move away. The quality of connection deepens dramatically. The decision-making simplification. Authentic living makes choices obvious. Instead of complex pros and cons lists, you ask, what choice aligns with my authentic nature? The answer usually comes quickly and feels clear in your body. The creative flow. When you're not using creative energy to maintain personas, that energy becomes available for genuine creative expression. Many people discover artistic, innovative, or leadership abilities they never knew they had. The spiritual deepening. Living authentically naturally leads to spiritual depth, because you're in touch with what's genuine rather than what's performed. This creates space for real wisdom, meaning, and connection. Advanced integration practices. Once you've established the foundation of the 5 pillars, these advanced practices help you navigate the ongoing complexity of living authentically in an often inauthentic world. The daily integration check-in, morning alignment, 10 minutes. Before engaging with the world, spend time connecting with your authentic center. Somatic. How does my body feel? What does it need today? Relational. How can I show up authentically in today's interactions? Professional. How can I bring my genuine self to today's work? Creative. What wants to be expressed through me today? Spiritual. What's my deepest intention for how I want to live today? Evening integration review. 10 minutes. Before sleep, reflect on your day. When did I feel most like myself today? Where did I compromise my authenticity, and what can I learn from that? How did living authentically affect my relationships and circumstances? What authentic expression wants to emerge tomorrow? The weekly authenticity reset. Sunday planning session. Review the upcoming week through the lens of authentic living. What interactions will require conscious authenticity? Where might I be tempted to perform rather than be genuine? How can I structure my week to support rather than compromise my authentic nature? What boundaries do I need to maintain this week? Friday, integration assessment. End each week by evaluating your authenticity practice. In which pillar did I feel most integrated this week? Where do I still struggle with consistent authenticity? What patterns of performance versus presence did I notice? How is my authentic living affecting my overall life satisfaction? The monthly evolution tracking. First week, assess somatic and relational authenticity. Second week, evaluate professional and creative alignment. Third week, examine spiritual and values-based living. Fourth week, integrate insights and plan next month's growth. The authentic leadership development. As you become more integrated, you naturally begin influencing others toward authenticity, not through preaching but through modeling. Authentic leadership principles. Lead by example. Your authenticity gives others permission to be authentic. Create safe spaces where others can drop their performances. Value truth over harmony. Prioritize honest communication over comfortable illusions. Support others' growth. Even when their authenticity challenges you, stay grounded in your truth, regardless of external pressures to conform. The ripple effect. When you live authentically, you create what Dr. Brené Brown calls permission-giving energy. Others begin questioning their own performances and exploring their authentic selves. The legacy. Living as your complete self. After 6 episodes of archaeological work, you've arrived at the ultimate destination. Living as your complete, integrated, authentic self. The daily reality of integrated living. You wake up knowing who you are and comfortable being that person in all contexts. Your choices flow naturally from your authentic nature. Your relationships are based on genuine compatibility. Your work expresses your nature rather than compromising it. Most importantly, you feel like you're living your life rather than managing it. The ultimate integration. You stop thinking about authenticity because it becomes your natural way of being. The ripple effect. Your integrated authenticity affects everyone around you. Your children learn they don't have to perform for love. Your partner experiences what it's like to be loved for their genuine self. Your colleagues discover they can bring more of themselves to work. The legacy question. What kind of world are you creating through your authenticity? Your complete transformation conclusion. You began this journey feeling lost. You're completing it as someone who knows not just who they are, but how to live as who they are. Like any complete archaeological expedition, this series has taken you through discovery of what was buried, excavation of your authentic self, protection of what you found, integration of all aspects, conscious relating from wholeness, and finally, living your complete truth as a way of being. Here's what you've excavated through all 6 episodes. Episode 1, You're Not Lost. You're excavating your authentic self. Episode 2, The 5 archaeological layers that bury your real nature. Episode 3, Strategic disappearing to protect your authenticity. Episode 4, Shadow integration to become psychologically complete. Episode 5, Authentic relationships built from wholeness, not woundedness. Episode 6, The 5 pillars of living your excavated truth daily. The archaeological truth about transformation. You weren't broken and needing to be fixed. You were buried and needing to be excavated. You weren't lacking something. You were hiding something. Your authentic self was always there, waiting beneath the layers. What to do right now? Choose one pillar to focus on this week. Somatic, relational, professional, creative, or spiritual. Start the 30-day integration protocol. Turn insights into embodied ways of being. Trust your authentic nature. It knows what it's doing even when your mind doesn't. Stop now and ask yourself the final question. What would my life look like if I lived as my complete, integrated, authentic self every single day? Write that vision down. Then ask, what one choice can I make today that moves me toward that vision? If you're ready to live as your complete self, comment below, integrated, and tell us what truth you're ready to live out loud. Let's see who's ready to stop collecting insights and start embodying them. All integration tools are here in this video. All previous episodes linked in description, because the most revolutionary thing you can do in a world full of performed lives is to actually live yours. This completes our archaeological journey together. But your journey of living authentically, that begins now, in this moment, with your next choice. You've excavated your authentic self, learned to protect it, integrated your shadows, discovered authentic love, and now know how to live your truth. There's nothing left to find. There's only life to live. The final truth. You are not a project to be completed. You are a truth to be embodied. Join the archaeological expedition one last time. Hit subscribe and the bell, because once you learn these life lessons, you will never be the same. Your authentic self is no longer buried. It's alive, embodied, and ready to be lived fully. Time to stop becoming and start being. Close your eyes. One breath, one decision. That's all it takes. Where do you go from here? Once you learn to live as your complete self, you don't just change your life. You change what life means.